Hello, my name is Riwayuni. Today, I will do my first project of applied linguistics, that is the presentation about the development of applied linguistics. But before we start to discuss about the development of applied linguistics, I will explain the definition of applied linguistics first. Applied linguistics is an interdisciplinary field of research that seeks practical answers and improvement in language and its use. It distinguishes itself from theoretical linguistics by focusing on real-world applications and language-related challenges affecting individuals, communities, societies, and civilizations. According to Davis 2007, applied linguistics is the application of what we know about language, how it is learned, and how it is employed to achieve a goal or solve a problem in the actual world. Abdelkan Mohammed 2020 stated that applied linguistics focuses on improving language instruction, learning, planning, defect management, group communication, lexicography, and translation. In the classroom, studies in applied linguistics which inform the ELT classroom including bilingualism, conversations and discourse analysis, sociolinguistics, language assessment, and language teaching itself. Okay, let's start to discuss about the development of applied linguistics. First is early development, that is in 1940 until 1950. Applied linguistics began to grow during and after World War II, mainly because there was a strong need for better ways to teach foreign languages. At the time, it was closely linked to structural linguistics, which looks at language as a system made of parts like sounds, that is phonology, word form, that is morphology, and sentence structure, that is syntax. Language was seen as a set of habits that people could learn through behaviorist psychology, with focus on learning by repeating, copying, and practice with feedback. This idea led to the development of the audiolingual method, which used repetition and memorization as key teaching techniques. In this era, applied linguistics was mostly concerned with, first, developing teaching materials, second, designing foreign language curricula, and the last is conducting language training for diplomats and soldiers. Next is expansions and theoretical shift, that is in 1960 until 1970. In the 1960 and 1970, applied linguistics began to move from only focusing on practical teaching to including theories about how language works. A big influence at the time was Noam Chomsky and his theory called transformational generative grammar. He said that language is not just a habit, but a mental system in the brain. Chomsky introduced the idea of language competence, which means a person's inner knowledge of grammar and rules. He said this is different from performance, which is how people actually use language in real life. This new way of thinking helped applied linguists study how people learn second or foreign languages. The field of second language acquisition, or SLA, began to grow. Researchers started looking at how learners understand, learn, and use a new language. Applied linguistics also began using ideas from cognitive psychology and study how different teaching methods affect how well students learn. Additionally, applied linguistics started expanding into areas such as language testing, curriculum design, and syllabus development, aiming to improve how languages are taught, assessed, and structured in formal education. Next is diversification and interdisciplinarity, that is in 1980 until 1990. By the 1980 and 1990, applied linguistics had become an established academic field with a broader and more interdisciplinary scope. Scholars began to explore not just how language is learned, but how it is used in social and cultural contexts. This led to the integration of subfields such as first, sociolinguistics. Sociolinguistics is the study of how language varies and functions in different social settings, including how factors like age, gender, class, and others. Second is discourse analysis. Discourse analysis focuses on how language is used in real communication, beyond the level of individual sentence, to understand meaning, coherence, and context. And the last is pragmatics. Pragmatics examines how meaning is shaped by context, including speaker attentions and social relationships. Another key development in this period was the concept of communicative competence, introduced by Delhims. This concept expands the idea of language ability beyond grammar to include the ability to use language appropriately and effectively in diverse social situations. Communicative language teaching became a widely accepted approach, emphasizing the practical use of language for real communication over memorization of rules. Next is modern applied linguistics, that is in 2000 until now. In the 21st century, applied linguistics has continued to grow and adapt to global and technological change. It now addresses a wide variety of language-related issues, including first, multilingualism. Multilingualism refers to the ability of individuals or societies to use more than one language. Second, language policy and planning. Language policy and planning involves the decisions that governments and institutions make about language use in education, public service, and national identity. Next is translation and interpretation. And the last is the technology in language learning, such as CALL, that is the computer-assisted language learning, and AI, and natural language processing, or NLP. Modern applied linguistics is also concerned with language and social justice. It explores issues such as linguistic discrimination, access to education in one's native language, and the protection of endangered languages. The field recognized that language is closely tied to identity, power, and inclusion. So the conclusion is the development of applied linguistics is divided into 4 periods, that is early development, expansions and shift in theory, diversification and interdisciplinarity, and modern applied linguistics. Early development occurred in 1940 until 1950, which was mostly related to the development of teaching materials, designing foreign language curricula, and organizing language training for diplomats and soldiers. Next is expansion and theoretical shift occur in 1960 until 1970. In this era, applied linguists began to develop into various fields such as language testing, curriculum design, and syllabus development. Next is diversification and interdisciplinarity, occur in 1980 until 1990. In this era, scholars began to explore not only how language is learned, but how language is used in social and cultural contexts. This led to the integration of subfields such as sociolinguistics, discourse analysis, and pragmatics. And the last is modern applied linguistics, occur in 2000 until now. In this era, applied linguistics began to adapt to global and technological change. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thank you so much.